So what is going on, guys? Welcome to a brand new episode. Today I'm in a vehicle that was actually one of my first vehicles that I actually ever owned. It is in fact the Prado 120 series. You know, you always have a love for the first vehicle or one of the first vehicles you owned, and it's just all coming back to me now. So I wanted to do another video on this vehicle. My first video on this vehicle was in like 2019, where I had my own Prado 120 series. It was the 4-liter V6. And that is the car that made me fall in love with Land Cruisers and solid axle vehicles and true 4x4s. Now the Prado 120 series came after the, I believe they called it the 70 series. Then came the 120 and then the 150 series, which is the current one that's had a few facelifts. But I was always fond of the 120 series for its size. And we'll sort of get into it now, you know, the drivability, the size, and any drawbacks, if any. So welcome to the video. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, comment down below, let me know what you think, and let's get right into it. Alright guys, so why don't we start this video inside the Prado 120 series, let you know how it feels. First of all, let me just go through the spec of this particular vehicle. This is actually a 2.7 liter vehicle. With the Prado 120 series, they had the options of the 2.7 liter petrol, 4 liter petrol, which was the V6. This is not a V6. This is just an inline 4-cylinder, I believe. And then they had the diesel options. So this is the 2.7 liter, which actually I've grown to like quite a bit. And in fact, this is the engine I would go for now if I was to get into a Prado 120 series again, or if my wife really loves the Prado 120 series, and I think this is a really nice vehicle in terms of how it drives, how it feels. I'm just getting all those vibes back of when I owned this vehicle, and it's all coming back to me. So much nostalgia. The Prado 120 series drives really well, guys. I mean, this vehicle is on coil springs. It's the TZ. It's the TX version, so it's just a normal spec version. We don't have any fancy suspension or anything like that. We don't have any seat warmers. It's the basic Prado. It's the Prado that I would go for, the spec that I would go for. So in here, the good thing is we've got sort of this tan interior that looks very nice, and you know, with the Prado 120 series, a bit of a wooden steering wheel. But the good thing with a Prado, and why it's called also a Land Cruiser Prado, is it does have the refinement of the full-size cruiser. Now I'll admit, it doesn't compare to the refinement of maybe a 100 series, but I'll promise you it comes close in terms of the sound insulation, in terms of the drivability. You do feel a bit more of the road, and you do feel a bit more of the bumps. That much I can admit, and that's why it is the Land Cruiser Prado. It is one grade down from the full-size Land Cruiser, but still extremely popular vehicle. And if you don't mind, you know, the sort of a bit of bounciness and a bit more of the road that you feel, it's still an extremely capable vehicle, and will take you anywhere, touring, off-roading, ruts, all those sort of things. So overall, I would say the drivability of the 120 series, the base spec, which doesn't have any of the sort of the air suspension or anything, is decent. It drives well around Nairobi, but you do feel a bit more of the bumps. Like right now, we're going over a few speed bumps, and you have a few small rattles here and there. Now, one of the main issues with the 120 series, and Toyota has this issue with a bunch of models, is in fact the dashboards. The dashboards tend to crack, the dashboards tend to wear over time, and it's mainly due to sun damage. That's why maybe you see the vehicle I'm sitting in right now has been well maintained, and we've got tinted windows, so it's going to protect you know, sort of the fabrics in here. But the dashboard has already been restitched, so you'll find with a lot of 120 series the dashboard has been restitched, and if it's been done a good job of stitching, then it looks really nice and feels really nice. So only on the fact that Nairobi roads are not 100% straight, it's always sort of uneven or a bit of niggles here and there, and in this kind of vehicle you'll feel those, so you'll feel yourself moving along with the road. And yeah, and that is bound to happen because it's not like you're running a hydraulic suspension or anything like that. But overall, AC is blowing cold. You can see I'm sitting nice and high. I've still got headroom, and I'm 6'1", and it's still super comfortable and super refined. The car is still well sound insulated, and it's very nice and quiet in here. So I really have No complaints with the drivability of this vehicle. Alright guys, now we're on the highway. Just want to test this 2.7 liter engine and how it responds and how the highway driving is of the Prado. So I just want to get all the windows shut so we have all the silence. So on a highway at speed right now I'm at 60. We're just going to make a turning and then get some speed again. The vehicle is pretty silent, but you can still hear the engine, even though it's just a small 2.7 liter engine. You can still hear it, which is fine. No issues there. So we're just gonna take a little turning. The maneuverability of this vehicle is great, I must say, guys. Super great maneuverability of this vehicle. And you must remember that the Prado 120 series was quite thin and quite tall, so it doesn't give you the kind of stability that you feel in the full-size cruiser. And that's one of the main things I feel going from a Prado to a full-size cruiser is stability. Lots of stability, because the other car is just much wider and the Prados are a bit thinner and taller. As you can see, we're on the highway now. I'm just grabbing some speed. The transmission responds really well, shifts gears really well, quickly. You know, doesn't feel like it's holding on to gears or anything. And it's got a 5-speed transmission. It builds up speed quite quickly. Already we're up to 80. I think you can hear from the video it's still pretty silent. Just coming up to some speed bumps now. So we're just gonna go over the speed bumps and see how much of them we feel in the car. So here comes one of them. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. Quite impressed with how that felt. Alright, perfect. So the car, don't mind the speed bumps at all. You can go over them. And then once you pick up speed, we're on the highway again. Straight from 60 to 80 to 90. And now going up and uphill. So the car is responsive. The 2.7 liter engine, I wouldn't say it feels underpowered at all. You guys know I own a Land Cruiser 80 series, so I know what underpowered, slightly underpowered feels like. These modern vehicles don't have that issue at all. The engines are absolutely sufficient, responds well, it corners well. I'm cornering at about 70 now. It's actually cornered really well, quite stable. The only thing I would ding the Prados with is that it's at higher speeds you feel a bit wavy in the vehicle, just a bit unstable. You need to just be a bit more focused because it's a taller vehicle, and so for that fact it's not as stable. But I love the speed that it's able to pick up, and I love the way it's able to handle on the highway, so it's absolutely perfect with that. Okay. All right, so here it is, guys. This is the Prado 120 series, and you know, it looks really mean, really nice. Actually, the 120 with a bumper looks quite nice. So as you can see, it's running the OEM 16-inch rims that have been painted black. But overall, I really like this vehicle. 2.7 liter petrol. Why don't you come with me? Let me take you through this vehicle. So as you can see, we're running the bull bar, but otherwise everything else is stock Prado 120 with the signature lights the way they are. We come around the side. As you can see, this is running the normal white paint. As I told you, this is a TX version, so you're not going to get a pearl paint or anything like that. So it's the normal white, but it's still perfectly fine, perfectly functional. Of course, with the 120s we get all this cladding, which they did away with the 150 series. So I actually like the fact that these vehicles had this side cladding, made them look a bit more muscular. And as I said, this vehicle is a bit thinner, as you'll notice. So we come around here, the normal Prado 120 series interior. You know, it's nice looking. As I told you, we've got sort of the tan, the beige finish, which I like a lot. If I was to go for a Land Cruiser, I always try and get the beige finish interior. It's just a lot nicer. But what you'll notice if you're coming from a full-size cruiser is that the 120 series on the interior feels smaller. You're definitely closer to your passenger, and the center console is also smaller, so you'll definitely feel that. But otherwise, this kind of vehicle, more than adequately spacious for your passengers and everyone. And with the Prado we get the door light opening, you guys know that. And this particular one has got a little cargo liner, but as you guys can see, plenty of room in here. This is a very roomy vehicle, and you can get bags in here. I've always, the way Toyota do these seats, I've always complained because they take a lot of space, but otherwise, as you can see, the vehicle has got good space. And if you take out the rear seats, You'll even get more space to load, but definitely slightly smaller, I mean in terms of width, than the full-size Land Cruiser, but still very functional, and I wouldn't complain at all. And with the Prado 120 series you get the normal lights which all Prados stick with. Okay. All right, so here we have it, the power plant of this particular vehicle. This is the 2.7 liter petrol engine. It's VVTi, so it's, you know, pretty decent on fuel. I think with this kind of engine you should expect maybe 7 to 8 kilometers per liter in terms of fuel economy. It's a simple engine, it's a smaller engine, as you can see, plenty of space in the engine bay to work on this type of engine. And you know, it's a durable engine. A lot of people say the V6 will be more durable in the long run, which I agree with. I did have the 4 liter, sounds great, got good amount of power, but I would definitely say this 2.7 is not underpowered in any way. It felt like it had plenty of power. In fact, it made the car feel pretty light on the road. The highway driving was seamless, so I would not complain at all. So that's the power plant of this particular vehicle, guys. Alright guys, so final thoughts on the Prado 120 series. I'd definitely say if you're in the market in Kenya right now, you could probably get a 120 series, which the 120 ran from, I think, the 2000s to about 2008, 2009, if I'm not wrong. So if you're looking for a Prado 120 series right now, 2.7 liter, you'll be looking in the market at about 1.6 to about 2.3 million, or 2.4 million, or 2.5 million. So there is a price range, guys, and for you in US or whatever, that equates to about maybe $15,000 all the way up to $20,000 for such a vehicle, maybe 2008 or 2009, so the higher year versions. And I definitely recommend going for those, because you do get the VVTi, which will give you better fuel economy. That's the variable valve timing of the Toyota engines. So definitely with the 120 series, I love these vehicles. I would go for one without hesitation, because they're just so comfortable, they're well refined, they feel great, and because it was one of my first vehicles. But hell, so if you're in the market for such a vehicle, based on that price range, obviously with the full-size Land Cruiser these days, you'd have to bump it up a bit more, and then you get the V8 and all that. But 120 series I think is a great starter 4x4, which will get you everywhere, make you fall in love with the Land Cruiser, make you appreciate solid axle vehicles and true off-roaders, and then you can take it from there, and wherever your adventure takes you, wherever your life takes you after that, and then decide on the upgrade after that. But this particular version, the basic one, as I told you, TX, so no even sunroof. So if you want a sunroof, you can go for those kind of specs. But this is a decent spec, and you do get specs as well that have the leather, and you can also get specs that are called like the TZG. Now the TZG will have the air suspension and the leather and all the refinements, but I'll just go for this basic spec with the coil springs. That's the best setup. So yeah guys, told you a Prado 120 series video would be coming. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, hit like, subscribe, comment down below. Let me know what you think as we grow this channel. Welcome to all the new subscribers. Thank you for being here, and it's been Masai Gaines checking out.